everybody. My name is Jennifer Hassell. I am the Executive Director at the Chelsea Chamber of Commerce, and we are hosting our first community outreach meeting of 2025. We have the privilege of having the Chelsea Police Department here to present, Sergeant Star Chung. We are just going to be discussing some of the statistics from 2024 and presenting kind of what the police department has seen, kind of what we might anticipate moving forward. And with that, and without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Star Chung.
Thank you, Jen. I just want to say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting these wonderful monthly meetings. Like you said, my name is Star Chung. I'm a sergeant with the Chelsea Police Department, specifically under the Community Services Division. So we'll jump right into it. Just wanted to say that the chief apologizes he couldn't be here today. He is out on bereavement. He was the original presenter for this PowerPoint, so I will present it on his behalf. So 2024 year in review, we're going to look back on it, highlight some key stats that shapes our community. So we're going to discuss our mission statement, the organizational chart, so that way you guys have an idea of how our police department is made up of, the sector map and streets, because not many folks may know that the city is broken up into sectors for the police department to kind of be able to separate the streets. Crime stats, our accomplishments thus far, our future goals, and then I'll do my best for any questions towards the end. So our mission statement, you can also find this on our website. Okay, it says members of the Chelsea Police Department are committed, take pride, and are dedicated to the community's needs in delivering quality police services effectively, efficiently, responsibly, and professionally. Officers recognize and accept the responsibility to maintain order while affording dignity and respect to every individual we serve. CPD's objective is to improve the quality of life through community and interagency partnerships to promote a safe and secure community for all. With that, our mission would be provide public safety for the city, community engagement and crime control, local drug investigation and enforcement, and traffic safety and enforcement. So here's our organizational structure. We're led by Chief Keith Houghton, Chief of Police. We have 5 captains in 5 divisions: Patrol Division, Administrative Division, Criminal Investigation Division, Community Services Division, and who am I missing? Professional Standards Division, which is directly under the Chief. Internal Affairs is under the Chief, under Professional Standards. We also have, I believe, 9 lieutenants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's one more. I believe there's a court lieutenant as well. 8. Yeah, it's 8? 8 lieutenants in their respective divisions. So we have 3 lieutenants under patrol, which is under Captain McLean. We have 1 lieutenant currently under Captain Dana, Lieutenant Guido. We have 1 lieutenant in the Community Services Division, Lieutenant Fern. Our court liaison is Lieutenant Nelson. Our Technical Services Lieutenant under the Admin Division, which is under Captain Farden, is Lieutenant Marchese. And then under Professional Standards is Lieutenant Brazuela, who is also our current Public Information Officer. What's our count now, Captain, at patrol officers?
About 60.
We have 60 patrol officers. We're trying to get that number up to 113.
We're trying to hold the balance, right?
Right.
About 115.
115, right, going forward. So each division has their line officers and patrolmen. So detectives, under community services, we also have downtown task force, and licensing, so on and so forth. We also have our civilian workers. We have community engagement specialist Dan Cortez. He's also here present at the meeting. And our records employees, and also our crime analysis, who is a civilian worker as well, and she contributed a lot to this presentation as well in regards to crime stats. This is our sector breakup here. We'll dive deep right into it. Sector 1, pretty much Route 16 through Prattville. Sector 2, you're looking at Broadway from the tracks to the Revere line. Also Eastern Ave from the car wash to the Revere line, over to the Soldiers Home area, to Washington Ave and all intersecting streets, including Crescent, Cary, Parker, Eleanor, Webster, Clark, Spencer, Summit, Lafayette, and Franklin. Sector 3, you got Washington Ave from the tracks to Route 16, and all of its intersecting streets, including Hurd, Blossom, Addison, Orange, Bellingham, Spruce, Carmel, Carter, Everett Ave from Spruce to Route 16, MGH, and the Market Basket areas. And then in Sector 4 is all the streets south of the tracks, which is Chester, Central Ave, Bellingham is included, but it's also Bellingham Square is a part of our road swap, which is the officer that's assigned to the area you're currently at. This is our stats pretty much for the year. Total arrests for year 2024, total arrests is 1,152. 90% adult, 9% juvenile. So that equals out to about 1,047 adults and 105 juveniles. Our total call for services is at 43,528. I mentioned though, 8,200 of those are pretty much non-response calls, and that's your wellnesses, your meal breaks, your reports, and so on and so forth. That's pretty much anything an officer does in the day of the life of an officer, they call off on into the call log into dispatch. So that way we kind of have an idea of where they're kind of at throughout their day-to-day. We're at about 2,300 citations, okay? Out of those 2,300 citations, 1,400 of them are warnings, all right? Citations that make it to criminal complaint, which is like a summons service instead of taking the arrest or making the arrest. We're at 413 with that. From those citations, 145 of those were from arrests. You know, it could range anything from an OUI or reckless operation, leaving the scene of personal injury, just those things that are arrestable on the pass on probable cause and in your presence. Civil citations, 298, 5,300 about reports written in total. That includes pretty much accident reports, incident reports, impact patrols. Impact patrols, about 8,500 of them. Impact patrols are pretty much where officers will saturate this particular area, call off that they're in the area, they'll patrol around it, making their presence known, especially if that area is a hot spot. Lots of activity there, some recent crime may have happened there, break-ins, shot spotters, so on and so forth. We want to make sure that the citizens, due to an event that occurred there, or whatever the case may be, we want to make sure they feel our presence, and that involves on foot or in the cruiser just patrolling around, so that way residents could see us, and if they had any questions, they can reach out to the officer that is on that impact patrol. As a city, we've also had a reported of 875 accidents. That obviously doesn't include the ones that go unreported to us, which are accidents that involves very minor damage, that they don't even call us and they do their own paper swaps. So these are just kind of more of a breakdown. The good thing is crime is down about 7% from year 2023, and we'll break it down into sectors as well, so you guys kind of have an idea. We break it down by murder, sexual assaults, aggravated assault, robbery, burglaries, larceny, and motor vehicle theft. For year 2024, we've had 2 murders. For sexual assaults, we've had 22. Aggravated assaults, 256 cases, 42 cases of robbery, 56 of burglary, 429 of simple larceny, and 52 reported alleged motor vehicle thefts. And those are the percentages there. Crime stats comparison to 2023. As mentioned, we're down by 7%. So in 2024, out of the 322 violent crimes, it's 2023, 316 for violent crimes, 537 for property crimes back in 2024, and then 616 for property crimes for crime total comparisons. And those are the comparisons and percentages. This is just kind of broken down to sectors, the total numbers we mentioned earlier. From Route 16 to Bravo for Sector 1, there were 2 sexual assault cases in that particular area, 23 aggravated assaults, 2 robberies, 7 burglaries, 70 cases of larceny reports, and 7 motor vehicle theft. Sector 2, these are the streets here. There were 5 sexual assaults in that area, 50 aggravated assaults, 6 robbery cases, 11 burglary, 92 cases of larceny, and 19 motor vehicle thefts. For Sector 3, which is Washington Ave, and the streets listed there, we've had 6 cases of sexual assault, 46 cases of aggravated assault, 11 robberies, 11 burglaries, 98 larcenies, and 5 motor vehicle thefts. Sector 4 and Route 12 collectively, this area had 2 cases of murder, 9 cases of sexual assaults, 137 cases of aggravated assaults, 23 robberies, 27 burglaries, 169 larcenies, and 21 motor vehicle theft. Moving on to accomplishments, CPD and policing in general, obviously we're currently having a hard time staffing our police departments. Not many folks want to become a police officer anymore due to the past 5 or 10 years or so, the climate change in policing. In fiscal year 25, we were able to accept 3 lateral transfers and hire 5 additional officers. We developed a marketing campaign to advertise over social media platforms to inform, the surrounding areas that we were accepting laterals, and that pretty much made a big difference. We were able to secure some laterals. The department has continued also successfully address officers' assignments and that reflect pretty much the community we serve. By providing opportunities for placing officers into certain special assignments where we find that they are the strongest. With that said, the department successfully implemented the Female Officer Enrichment Program under Chief Houghton. We were able to send female officers, including myself and Officer McLaughlin, who was in the room, to national seminars on leadership and training, women conferences, and so on and so forth. So far, we've already sent 6 officers, and we continue doing the same going forward. Of those trainings, it involves decision-making, communication, crisis management, community engagement, and pretty much building leaders of the future. Fiscal year 25, the chief also assigned a lieutenant to the department's staff inspection role. The position works under him with a mandate to ensure compliance and with departmental procedures. That way we can identify areas of improvement and promote a culture of accountability and professionalism. That's the same lieutenant that is also our public information officer, so that way we can maintain a full, transparent police department for the community we serve. We also did receive funding from the Massachusetts Gaming Commission to address the traffic-related issue caused by the Encore Casino, especially on weekends and holidays. As folks from all over Massachusetts come to visit the beautiful Encore Casino in Everett, traffic does trickle into our city as well, because we do have 6 hotels here at the moment. So as a result, we were able to start hiring and implementing officers in certain areas that they may have traveled, such as Beecham Street or Everett Ave, whichever route they may take, Route 16, just to kind of monitor the way it is, especially if we're going to be getting the soccer stadium coming in the future. Not us, but just the area, Everett in general. We were also able, with this funding, will include purchasing 2 new traffic message boards to properly inform residents of the road closures, detours, etc., or any messages that we need to display out. We currently only have 2. And obviously that, the city has their own, but the police department, we have two, and we'd like to obviously have more, so that way we can put maybe one in per sector of the city. So that way anywhere you go, you'll be able to see and be updated of whatever situation we may be having going on, of a road closure or whatever the case may be. For fiscal year '25, the Chelsea Police Department enhanced our downtown task force. Downtown task force is a collaborative effort involving the city manager, local businesses. Some of the folks in here have gone to our downtown task force meeting. It's twice, it's every 2 weeks. Dan spearheads it, including the officers of the downtown task force, where a presentation is presented, and we just tackle such as crimes that involves PCs or any quality of life issues, anyone that may need to be a Section 35, which is an involuntary substance committal with the courts. The citywide initiative, like I mentioned, just the harm and disorder through partnerships and proactive problem solving. That includes like graffiti as well. If a graffiti, kind of part of the broken windows theory, if you leave it there, it's just more, it's going to draw more perpetual bad behavior. So as a result, the quicker we clean that stuff off, the more it won't fall into the victim of a broken windows theory. Whereas a window that's already broken, left broken, will continue to be broken by others that walk by. For fiscal year '25, CPD and FBI has a partnership in Safe Streets Task Force. We achieved significant results in dismantling local and regional gang leadership that enhances the public safety and reduces the gang activity in Chelsea, specifically Operation 8 Ball, which is a coordinated law enforcement investigation that ended up with several arrests and seizures of currency, weapons, and property. Fiscal year '25, we introduced a team of dedicated two detectives to building positive relationship with high-risk youths, and that involves including ROCA, Boys and Girls Club, and many other partners. Fostering that trust and providing positive mentorship to support youth and connect them with resources and opportunities that they may need for their success as an alternative to like arrests and court appearances and whatnot. Next up, the Hub. Nationally recognized, Chelsea Police-led initiative continuing to address complex social issues in fiscal year '25, fostering collaboration between local agencies to provide a timely, coordinated interventions. Hub has an innovative approach. It significantly reduced repeat calls for service, enhanced community safety, and strengthened trust between residents and service providers. To date, the Hub Roundtable has provided immediate resources and follow-up care to more than 1,000 Chelsea families and individuals. To summarize, it's pretty much like wraparound services that a family may be struggling with, that when you approach it at just one slice, you may not address everything that needs to be addressed. So when you open it up to a partnership of agencies like Cambridge Health Alliance, North Suffolk Mental Health, etc., now everyone is aware of it, of this certain family, and then they can fill in the buckets that they'll need of what they're lacking and assist them furthermore. Dan also spearheads that, and we also have our Hub liaison, which is Officer McLaughlin. Move on to goals. So for fiscal year '26, we look forward to renewing our status as an accredited police agency. Accreditation demonstrates our adherence to nationally recognized best practices in law enforcement, including aligning the policies and procedures, training, community engagement, with pretty much providing like a transparent and accountability overall as a police department and as the way we should operate. By achieving that accreditation, we'll continue to prioritize excellence in public safety, building strong community relationships, and maintain the Chelsea Police Department's reputation as a model of modern, community-focused policing. Actually, it's under administrative division, and so I'm glad Captain Farden's in the room for that. It's definitely a laborious process, but Captain Farden, we're in good hands with Captain Farden and his team, who's working adequately towards that. The department also will continue the female officer enrichment program. We have a total of 9 female officers, about so. We've sent 6 so far, so there are 3 more officers that we're looking to send and just kind of continue the rotation of providing quality training to female officers who's kind of still the small anomaly in the law enforcement world as a whole. We as an agency, you know, a lot of the nation is going 30 for 30, which is 30% female in an agency by the year 2030. That is ambitious. I don't know if we'll get to that point, because as of right now, the list for the civil service exam is dwindling itself, but that would be great to have, you know, in a 100 officer department, 30 of those officers to be female. That would be great, while we are currently operating with about 9. We also look to continue the hub model, to continue to champion the role of the community protectors. The hub model, I didn't mention this earlier, but I wanted to add to it that some of the problems are substance abuse, homelessness, and also mental health illness. We work closely with Dan to continue to facilitate the delivery of these services. For fiscal year 26, we're going to try to adopt and continue a proactive youth hub initiative. That way we can kind of hyper-focus on our younger population. So we can support the troubled youth and kind of target those 12 years to adulthood, kind of be with them along the way and just understand and be there for them as need be. And as usual, we'll continue that with our stakeholders and the community with early intervention. Continuing the goals, continuing expanding the downtown task force mission citywide to include investigators, the Chelsea Fire Department, and also our inspectional services division. Sometimes these quality of life issues, such as graffiti, or even something that someone will notice, such as a doorbell that doesn't work, or it's kind of fallen off of its hinges. You know, if there is an emergency call, we can't get to you if we can't reach you. So things like that, you know, kind of the door swings both ways as well. So we will look to address even something as minute or small as that can lead to like bigger issues. Recently, you know, addressing something as an unsecured door, something that's broken, the lock that can't secure, and now the trespassers are going to come in because they have access to that unlocked door. So certain things like that, as we enter, and if there's any fire or city code violations, expanding the downtown task force to include our Chelsea Fire Department and our inspectional services division will make the whole process even more streamlined, because now we'll be able to kind of get their expertise and advice on how to tackle such a certain situation. Or we work very closely also with our DPW, who helps a lot with the graffiti in the city as well. We're going to continue to play an active role in partnership with our HART team, which stands for High Risk Emergency Action Team. It's a 24-hour response team. They engage with organizations to try to provide services for the vulnerable population. An example of something like that would be if a victim of domestic violence or whatever the case may be needs to be relocated in the middle of the night, or they'll come in to report a domestic violence situation to us. We can notify or trigger the HART program, which is made up of a few officers that are aware that they're on call for stuff like that. They'll come in, they'll reach out to the contacts that we'll have with all the social services available to see if we can at least find a safe haven for that individual for the night. And then until the next business day where more things are open for that individual. So obviously the acronym is appropriate, right? Because you're dealing with a human component here. There's got to be some level of heart and compassion when you're dealing with somebody on their worst day and they need you the most. We're also proposing utilizing UOSI Homeland Security funding to acquire a drone with advanced aerial capabilities to enhance emergency response, public safety, situational awareness for city and regions. Let's face it, we're not going to be able to squeeze into every single crevices or access even some things such as the Chelsea Creek, or a good example would be like Forbes Park, when we had the fire a few months ago. When was that fire, Director?
End of October.
End of October. It was dark, it was scary, it was gloomy. The firefighters did a tremendous job. So did OEM. But it was hard to navigate those. But, during that time, luckily we had, who was it that brought the drone?
Boston Fire.
Boston Fire. So, lo and behold, I think it's a great idea that we're going to get into that. It's going to be a critical tool, especially during emergencies such as natural disasters, large-scale events, or critical incidents, just to provide that real-time aerial imagery. So that way we can just clear that situation, not now, right now. We're looking to maintain that police partnership with the FBI for Safe Streets Task Force. The partnership will target and prosecute the criminal enterprise responsible for gang violence, drug trafficking, significant crimes of violence. Our objective is to maximize CPD's effectiveness in utilizing all FBI resources to target dangerous, high-level offenders that's threatening our community. More goals. Fiscal year 26, continue to work with community groups to develop and enhance the after-school programs targeting the youth ages 12 to 17. That could be through programs such as PAL, Police Athletic League. Fosters mentorship, teamwork, and leadership developing by creating that safe space for youths. Last summer we did our Cups and Bobbers, where we taught kids how to fish under our harbor master, Officer Dina Cola, and that was great. This year we're going to team up with the city's athletic coordinator, Charlie Jafrida, and hopefully we'll expand our partnership with that and create a great programming for youths, because we don't want a child to be scared of the police. I'm excited for this one because I love food. I'm so excited I skipped here, so we'll go back to that. I just saw the word food and I'm like, I'm going that way. So we intend on purchasing a food truck. I wish the city manager was here, so I'm gonna look at the camera and say, no, we intend on buying a food truck, city manager. We find that we currently have our Copsville 1, known and loved by everyone, all sorts of ages. You can never be too old for ice cream. But we find that, we're limited with that. We can only operate that during the summer. So our community engagement kind of dwindles, and now we're just around really sad because we can't do anything else. So we're looking forward to trying to secure a food truck. Obviously, the food truck can be operated year-round. You can make hot dogs at any time of the year, right? So hopefully we'll be able to afford more than hot dogs, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to figure something out. We do have a few grillers, and chefs on board with the Chelsea PD, so looking forward to that. I know Jahia's in the room, he's a chef, so he's already we're not competition, we're not competition.
Can we recommend Italian sausages?
That's what I'm saying. We're not competition. We're not competition, I swear. Obviously the theme hopefully will continue to be free. That's the idea for community engagement, all right? All right, we'll go back up to this. No, this is a favorite of mine too. 4 days on, 4 days off. We just started that with the department. How many extra days does it give officers a year, Captain?
I think it's extra 30 days a year, something like that.
So, extra 30 days off a year. Captain McLean's kind of the mastermind behind, rewriting, redoing, coordinating, setting up the schedules and all that. Tremendous. The officers so far are loving it. Other agencies are doing it. It's super healthy for the mind, body, heart, and soul of a police officer. 4 days on, 4 days off is tremendous. Allows the officer to balance work and personal life, especially officers who have younger children. because most of the times, sometimes when you're on a job like this, you get held over, you work in doubles, you're just trying to make a living beyond the base pay. And those 4 days off certainly supplements and allows you to be able to do that and spend a little bit more time with your family. So, moving forward to the last one, I think, don't quote me on it. So like I mentioned in the beginning with the good captain here, we're looking to bring our numbers to 115 sworn officers. That will give us a full department for now, which is great. We could fully accomplish all of our goals with all hands on deck. Obviously, like, you can't do it if you're missing thumbs, right? So we want a full staff, so that way we can carry out full service. So if you're watching out there, the deadline's over, but please take the civil service exam next year. We're always hiring until we're not hiring anymore, right? So please do apply if you see the next civil service exam, which is now annually. It's about $75 to take. With that said, I think it's time for questions. All those steps that I mentioned can also be found on our website. How you get to our website is through our link tree, through this QR code. So feel free to scan it, follow us. We're looking for followers. We broke 10K. We're trying to get to 20K now. So add us. Tell your friends in other states, add us. Just add us. You know, spam bot us, whatever. But the more you guys follow us, we are very active on social media. It's important to keep the community involved by giving them close to kind of real-time updates, especially when there's like certain road closures or emergencies. And we as a department take pride in enhancing that relationship and building that relationship by keeping you guys involved as a community. So, questions?
I don't have a question on your presentation, but just like, you know, things that we're facing right now, especially with ICE and like what a lot of people are like calling raids and, you know, this perception of people not even going to Market Basket because they're so fearful. So I just like was wondering, what are things that we can bring back to our organizations that we work with, or just people that live in Chelsea that are so fearful? Like just yesterday, right, they posted that they were going to come in East Boston, different stations, and then even some social media platforms like Telemundo and Español that a lot of people follow, especially like Latinos here in Chelsea, you know, and then that didn't happen. But to me, it wasn't really a reliable source. So how can, I don't know, is there things that you can share with us that we can bring back to our like community members / nonprofits?
Yeah, so like, I know the chief wants to be the one to deliver a message in regards to the processes and what to do in regards to ICE and the current state of affairs. So I don't want to overstep on what he's going to deliver down the line, especially when he sits at the bigger table with other levels of leadership. What I can say is our city manager did deliver a message. I'm sure you've already seen it. So I think a lot right now, obviously, it's a lot like kind of a mysterious time for everybody, right? So I would say, you know, just continue doing what you're doing and whatever you have already in place. I feel like if it's worked thus far, continue that. We ourselves, as the city manager I've already mentioned, we don't enforce federal laws. So, you know, we don't enforce federal laws. There's nothing that ICE does that we do. We just enforce state laws. So again, without too much overstepping on what the chief is going to do and say, that's just kind of the limited answer I have for you right now. But I'll also defer to Captain Barney.
I would just say too that when you talk to your community out there, you shouldn't be afraid to call us, because like she said, we don't enforce federal law. You know what I mean? We're not showing up to enforce any of those laws. If they call us, we're going to be there for whatever you call us for. So they shouldn't be fearful to call us. Okay, because I know there's a lot of fear out there right now because of what everybody's seeing in the media and everything. But for local police, as far as Chelsea goes, we should not be afraid to call us if they're in trouble.
I think, like, just to add, at least for us, we work with Green Waves and Comunidades Organizadas here, like, how do we just prevent some folks coming into our office? So that's one thing that we're working on a policy right now, but it would be really great if there's a moment that we can speak to someone more about it, of like, yeah, like what you said, right? Like, can we call you guys? So that's good to know. But I guess what are the boundaries and everything? So, I mean, we could get into detail, but I'm just curious, like maybe after whatever chief releases, then we can build on, because there's so many nonprofits in Chelsea.
Exactly, I think right now, like, no one obviously has a game plan, right? Except the federal government. So as they carry out, you know, whatever they have on, you know, their laundry list of orders, you know, we'll just have to adjust and work with whatever to support our city, its residents, the best we can, while also maintaining and doing our job. So that conversation will continue. I don't want you to feel like I'm giving you kind of a shoddy answer, but that's just all the answers I have for you right now, as we're still kind of putting our heads together with it all.
To address that issue, there was a meeting recently with the chief and some community leaders, including our OEM director here, and to make sure that we're on the same page because a lot of stuff that we're going to hear on the news may or may not be true or distorted.
Yeah.
So what we're doing right now is communicating with our leadership. Whenever something does happen, we'll all be on the same page. We'll have a unified response, and then we'll leave it up to the organizational heads, basically, to disseminate that information down. Like, this happened, this is what really happened, and this is what we should do, right? So, and that's, you know, obviously Fidel and our chief and a lot of our leadership here, and the heads of all of our, you know, large community-based organizations. It's almost like a mini COVID response team, the way we had our COVID response team.
Yep.
It's similar in that, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, and that we get information out as quickly as we can to the residents.
I have a comment about your presentation. I was looking at the numbers and it was a little hard for me to see from here all the way over there, but I did see the minus thing with 7,000 something. So, and I was thinking, you know, for a 60% plus Hispanic population city, we are doing pretty good. So maybe we should send those numbers out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they already have them, but kind of like I put them in big colors so they can see that has nothing to do with immigration, the crime rates.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, so, great comment. We were delaying on posting the total year stats until after this meeting because we wanted to deliver it and with the Chamber of Commerce and to you guys and to the community exclusively before we just kind of blast it out on social media, you know, informally. So we want to make sure we deliver and let you guys know we are down crime by 7%, which is tremendous. You know, that means everybody is where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to do. So,
And maybe a suggestion.
tell me.
Spanish, when you put Facebook, whatever, you know, post, maybe in other languages, not just in English.
Bilingual.
Yes, people want to know what
We
is
could
happening.
use an interpreter or a
Perfect,
translator.
count
so-
us in.
I'm going to be texting you a lot.
With most social media platforms, you have the ability to translate whatever you put in English into any language. So if it's not being provided in the language that you need, all you need to do is select the text and hit translate and pick the language that you want to translate it into. While the majority of the community is Latino, and mostly when we post, we try to do both, but we're also conscientious of the increase of other demographics. So sometimes it's going to get cumbersome if we try to translate for everybody. So we need to try to be fair. Right now we do it for Spanish, at least we do, but eventually that might have to go to the wayside and we're going to have to instruct people how to use the translate option on social media because we'd have to translate for every single language in the
The
community.
text works well, but not with graphics. So if something's only in English, I don't think.
I
so.
agree with you, and I think
Yeah.
most flyers are in both languages, but I'm sure that's something that the sergeant will take away.
So under the city's website standard, anything that's posted that is a graphic needs to also have a written form of it. So, and additional to what Jen said, each social media platform has their own limitations and characters as well. So if we're translating multi-different languages, we found ourselves to be very limited in characters, especially for X, and Twitter, also, Twitter, which is X, and Instagram also has limited characters over Facebook. I believe Instagram is at 2,200 while Facebook is at 3,000, and then I think X is at like 35 with the basic membership. So with that said, we will be mindful of that. However, sometimes, like I said, we just may be limited by characters, and being aware that Facebook and social media in general also has that tool where you can do a drop down. I think I did that for my mom the other day. She's like, hey, read this. And I was like, no, drop down. Vietnamese, now you can read it, you know, so we took care of that.
Sorry, but if your mom didn't have you, she probably will miss the content of what you were trying to post. So that is what I am
You're saying
thinking.
she's lucky to have me.
Yeah, of course,
I'll give
yes.
you her number. You
Okay,
tell her that.
perfect, yes, I will.
Well, with that said, again, on behalf of Chief Owen, that's his information. Thank you to the Chamber for having us. Thank you to the community for being here. It was a little bit lengthy, but again, when important things are presented, sometimes you have to do it in a very detailed manner. So if there's no further questions, have a good night. I appreciate you guys having us.
I just want to share one thing before we break. Last week, the partnership for us is real. I try to attend as many downtown task force meetings as I can. And during a downtown task force meeting recently, there was some data that was shared about individuals that were lost due to cold weather. And similar to what Dan said, they had refused services, and unfortunately, they succumbed to the weather at that time. I just want to give a shout out to Officer McLaughlin and Maldonado. On the ride home, we had our office manager observe an individual when we were going through some really cold weather with just a hoodie on and just looked incapacitated, just didn't seem to be about. So I did a little bit of outreach. I reached out to the 2 police officers. They said they'd get back to me. Took a little while for them to track him down, but they didn't give up and they did track him down, and they were able to provide him with a warm space so that he wouldn't become another statistic for us. So I just, that's the perfect example of see something, say something, so that you can help an individual. And so it worked. The partnerships work. I understand that sometimes people get frustrated. It's easy to get frustrated, but it's much appreciated when you get involved, and if you see something, you say something. That's really the only way we're going to preserve our community and keep it a safe place for its residents and for the kids that are coming up. So I just want to applaud the Chelsea Police Department. Thank you for coming in for this meeting.
Congratulations, Chelsea. I forgot. Sorry.
Okay, so
Yes,
please
yeah.
do.
All right, so best for last, totally forgot. Chelsea. This is Chelsea. She's our brand ambassador. She's kind of our community liaison. She's everywhere, right, Chelsea? Thanks. She's enjoying a coffee and munchkin.
She's nervous.
She's just a woman of very little words, so I'll just speak for her. But Chelsea will pretty much be doing just different initiatives, be doing different community engagement for safety and all that. So just stay tuned. She does have quite a wardrobe and an entire agenda of her own. So she is kind of, our version of, I guess, a brand ambassador. So you'll be seeing her. Chelsea in the city, so hopefully you'll support her. If it's supporting her, it's supporting us. So thank you.